This is The 20th Century and I, The Early Years, 1943 to 1957, written by Frank Briggs, narrated by Steve Knupp. Dedication to Barbara Weston Smith Briggs, 1916 to 1996, mother, and Margaret Ann Craven Briggs, married 1966, wife. These two beloved ladies have been my lifetime support and an endless source of encouragement and critique. On our wedding day, my mother relinquished this all-consuming task to my beloved wife, Margaret Ann. Acknowledgements. As noted in the preface, this book is the first part of a trilogy, but is being published last, because family history plays a significant role in the unfolding narrative. I have relied heavily upon help from kinfolk. Copy editing was done by my eclectic granddaughter, Mary Stewart Murray, an accomplished poet and English teacher. In addition to grammar and punctuation, she and I spent a lot of time discussing whether a term or phrase should be used because it was historically accurate or substantially altered so as not to be offensive in today's very sensitive cultural environment. I am convinced that the many compromises we reached were entirely beneficial to the finished product. The initial drafts have also been reviewed by some of my first cousins, as well as my sister Kingsley. Each provided additional remembrances or corrections of mine that increased the accuracy of the remembrances. Many thanks to Liza Yates, who provided me with yet another lovely cover design. Her previous endeavors for me were done as a student. Now, she is a rising star in the world of architectural interior design. This time, however, she was aided by my grandnephew and her first cousin, once removed, Beckett Briggs, a 7th grader. It was he who envisioned the map portraying the numerous geographical waypoints lived at during my early years. Once again, it was Laura Spencer and her team at Phoenix Publishing who put the various parts together so masterfully. Preface. Upon completing the original draft of my book, The Old UVA and I, 1961 to 1965, in 2020, my good friend John Castine, President and Professor Emeritus of the University of Virginia, consented to review it. His comments were favorable except for one. He noted that the book had no closure. It stopped suddenly in 1966. After hearing this critique, I followed his suggestion and wrote an additional 24th chapter, Beyond Finals. While writing this memoir, it struck me that I should heed John's advice once again. The Old UVA became widely read, both for the story and its historical significance, as a chronicle of education before the massive cultural upheavals of the late 20th and early 21st centuries. Because of this, and at the urging of readers, I released my second book earlier this year, The Old Boarding School, 1957 to 1961, Blair Academy, established 1848. This book is a yarn about life and boys' dormitories, locker rooms, fields, and dance floors. However, like my earlier book readers and audio listeners, I've been fascinated by how the collegiate metamorphosis actually spread to and germinated in all secondary schools, both public and private. With those 2 volumes launched, I realized that my life had not started at age 14 and ended at age 22, with only 2 short flashbacks of the next 68 years. Accordingly, this is a remembrance of my nomadic life from birth in 1943 until I entered boarding school in 1957. It is the story of me as a young boy. It also offers a series of glimpses into the cultural views in America in the years that followed the end of the Second World War. These are widely varied because of my family's nomadic background. In those 14 years, I lived in Montreal, Canada, in 3 northern and 2 southern states, and attended 8 schools. They were tumultuous.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?